Hello, Anglophonians. Yes, it's time to visit England, Great Britain again. Yes, time for the greatest detective or secret agent or whatever he is at this time, Harold Wilberforce Clifton. And this adventure is called Clifton and the Mystery of the Running Voice.
When we last spoke of the adventures of Colonel Clifton, the series had just come off a long hiatus. After original creator Macherot left Tintin magazine, no new adventures were published between 1961 and 1968. Then Joel Azara took over. No, that's not quite right. While the plan was for him to take over the series, it ended up being one comic book in 1968. Rather than dedicating himself to the British Colonel's adventures, Azara wanted to draw his own comics. So Editor-in-Chief Renier, aka Greg, had to look again for someone to take care of Clifton. But he quickly found some people in his editorial team, a duo of a writer and an artist, Philippe Liégeois and Bob de Groot. Bob de Groot, born October 26, 1941, was a comic artist from Brussels. After his studies, he met the artist Maurice Tillieu, who offered him a job. He later also worked on Spirou magazine and on Pilote, before joining Tintin magazine in 1966. In 1967, he began a fruitful collaboration with the author Philippe Liégeois, known by the pen name Turk. The result of the collaboration was, among other things, the comic Robin du Bois, a Robin Hood parody that premiered in 1969. Philippe Liégeois, known as Turk, was born on July 8, 1947 in Durbuy, Belgium. He has been drawing comics since childhood, including redrawing the works of Peyo. In 1963, at the age of 16, his mother sent the first of his comics to Spirou's editorial team. In 1967, he began working for Dupuis and drew regularly for Spirou. In the same year, he met Bob de Groot. They worked together on stories for the Archimede series and a comic series for Piff Gadget, before moving to Tintin magazine and creating Robin du Bois. Greg turned to the two and asked them if they wanted to take over the Clifton series. They accepted, and the first adventure in the series was the late 1970, early 1971 short story, The Mystery of the Running Voice. Oh, for this story, let's try something new, because I think for this, my own voice is not British enough. But Commander Jaden James is here to visit, so Commander, will you take over this, please?
Sure, let's go. The Mystery of the Running Voice. The story begins in London. Clifton is meeting up with a friend at a pub when former Inspector Donald MacDonald Muddy Duck walks in, appearing to be in poor health. When Muddy Duck calls the bartender, only his voice is heard as he kneels behind the bar to pick up peanuts from the floor. The mere fact that a voice can be heard without seeing the speaker almost makes Muddy Duck go crazy. Clifton and his friend invite Muddy Duck to their table, and he explains why he's reacting so strangely. He's no longer with Scotland Yard, but he's still investigating. His latest case is about the running voice, a disembodied voice that is up to mischief in the small town of Flatfish-upon-Apron. People hear the running voice and are attacked. Muddy Duck shows a picture of one of the victims, the sixth now. Clifton finds the case interesting and travels to Flatfish-upon-Apron. He builds up a story that he is interested in buying an old inn in the village, and therefore has a large sum of money with him. Some villagers show him the inn where he decides to spend the night. However, the villagers say nothing about the running voice. Clifton makes himself at home at the inn and finds himself being watched. The stranger introduces himself as Gus, the village idiot. He finds Clifton sympathetic and therefore warns him about the running voice. He can also tax a few details that the Colonel didn't know about before. Gus agrees to take the Colonel to a bank the next day. Gus leads Clifton onto the shortcut past the fields, and this is where it happens. The running voice speaks up.
Thank you, Commander. As we can see, Turk and de Groot also remain true to the original Clifton style. Clifton was to experience unusual adventures with criminals who devised very ingenious methods of cheating other people out of money and/or valuables. But it shouldn't be too fantastic. While the solution to the case of the running voice has to bend reality somewhat in its favor, it maintains a certain degree of groundedness. As with the evil elves, there's nothing supernatural behind this case, just a very natural human greed. De Groot's drawing style has a high recognition value if we now compare drawings from the series Clifton and Robin du Bois, for example. This style and the way Turk created the stories would define Clifton from now on. A second boom in comic magazines began in the early 1970s. At the same time, crime stories were popular as never before. It's the decade that Hercule Poirot had his two most famous screen adventures, Death on the Nile and Murder on the Orient Express. Even a Polish-English co-production filming the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson came about in this decade. But of course, the space age was also in full bloom. However, following the year of the first moon landing in 1969, 1970 was the year that saw the Apollo 13 accident, with NASA returning its astronauts safely to Earth. And the 1970s were also the decade in which the public was first pushed into awareness of problems that should actually be dealt with, but which were only too willingly suppressed. But there's more on this on another occasion. Turk and de Groot were to create another short story starring Clifton before sending the brave colonel on an adventure that would fill an entire comic book. But we'll get to that in time too.
So there you have it. What was that? Somebody falling past the window? What? Strange. Obviously not, because if that would have been the case, then there would be a body lying down there. Well, okay then. This was the mystery of the running voice. Until next time, surround yourself with nice people, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you.
Well, thanks again, Commander, for doing the job.
You're welcome. I hope I could be of some help. I'm not a good storyteller.
Well, you should work on your pacing.
That's what people always tell me. I'm talking too fast. Oh, by the way, about that scream you heard.
Yes, what about it? Was it a figment of my imagination?
Oh, no, indeed not. There was an incident. It's just that nobody fell out of the window.
What? What happened?
Look, someone threw a smartphone from one of the top floors. The smartphone fell past a balcony. There was a woman on the balcony. She just saw something fall and got scared. That's actually all.
Huh? Then someone just got mad about the phone bill and threw away their phone, and that was it?
Well, not quite. The phone was apparently thrown out of a window that cannot be opened, and there is no access to the roof above. What's more, it wasn't just any smartphone that was thrown out the window.
What do you mean?
Since you've been here in the convent, have you ever heard of the Six Sisters?
Yes, of course. A group of women who are also staying here for recreation in the monastery. But no one has seen them yet. They are cut off from everyone else. Supposedly they are on medical treatment, and any distraction would interfere with that treatment.
Then you may have noticed that one of the 6 sisters died under strange circumstances some time ago.
Yes, but that really is some time ago. Why? What's about that?
According to eyewitnesses, she received a message on her smartphone. She was so upset by this news that she ran out of the monastery, even though it was already night and a hailstorm was on the horizon. She didn't come back that night. The next morning she was found about 500 yards from the abbey. She must have been hit in the head by a hailstone and fell down a cliff. She died instantly. Of course, they wanted to find out exactly what had happened, but the woman's smartphone could not be found.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that the smartphone that fell past the window is the very smartphone that belonged to this woman?
Exactly. Someone must have taken it. Presumably the same person who disposed of it now. The smartphone shattered into thousands of pieces on impact. We were able to find most of them down in the yard. Only one important piece is missing.
Which one?
The memory card. We know from the mobile operator that the message that upset the woman must have come via email, but we do not know which email service the woman was registered with. The memory card might have given a clue.
How strange. Why did the person keep the smartphone for so long only to get rid of it now?
And in this spectacular way at that. If the person just wanted to get rid of the smartphone, there would have been other ways. Throwing it in the forest or in a river, or just in the trash. But the fact that the person dumped it in public is certainly a message. I spoke to my superiors. The matter is first and foremost a case for the Portuguese police. But the fact that a crime has happened on the organization's property makes them want to know more. I'll work my way into it.
Then good luck with that. But I don't think they'll let you get close to the sisters. It seems to me that they are more closely guarded than the American president.
Yes, that alone is very strange. I'm returning to the Atlantis base and will consult the computers there. Let's see what can be found.
Then good luck with that.
Thanks. I wish you the best.
Yes, thanks. See you around.